Once a giant, always a giant.
Welcome back to All Things Giants. It's your host, Keith. We're going to be talking about draft scenarios today. I have 5 in mind. I've listed 5 from what I'm going to say if I was a GM of the Giants, if I was Dave Gettleman, what I would my first option would be to my 5th, and we're going to dive right into the first option. I've said it before and I'm sticking to it. My first option is drafting Waddle. Waddle runs a 4.25, or that's what he ran when before he was injured, and once he gets back to full health, that's what he'll run, a 4.25. That is ridiculously fast. That means he's electric every time he catches the ball. That's what Daniel Jones is need. Like, he needs the Colin Cowherd called them getaway plays, but more like the long touchdowns, like the ones Odell used to have for Eli when he would take a 5-10 yard quick slant and take it to the house. Quarterbacks need assistance like that. All of them have it. Mahomes, his aren't usually the shorter ones. He'll just chuck it downfield and Tyreek's there. But you get the point. He needs that type of assistance, especially for him being such a young quarterback. If he could have those short drives where he could throw a 5-10 yard quick slant and Waddle could take it to the house, that would take a lot of weight off of his shoulders and would give him the assistance he needs. Waddle could even potentially become a wide receiver 1. Nobody expected Tyreek Hill to become the wide receiver 1 that he is at all. With him being that wide receiver 1, Waddle was in an interview with Max Kellerman, another Giants fan, who basically was asking him, he was like, who do you mirror your game over when it comes to the NFL? And instead of him, like, he said 2 guys. The second guy called me completely, like, it was unexpected. He said Tyreek Hill, of course, because Tyreek Hill and him have the similar body frame, and they're both fast guys who are strong and who can go up and get it, but are both like shorter, 5'10", 5'9" type of guys. The other guy he said was Cooper Kupp. And the reason that kind of struck, like, I was like, that kind of caught me off guard was because Cooper Kupp's not really the guy that you, like, mirror your game off of. But the reason that this intrigued me as much as it did was because Cooper Kupp gets open because of his route running. So basically, Waddle, people say, I personally don't believe this because I think, although he can work on it, I think his speed does allow him to assist on getting open on his routes. But Cooper Kupp is good at route running. That's how he gets open a lot of the time. He runs some filthy routes. Waddle can mirror that and boost his route running game. Waddle could become a top 3 receiver. He has the speed. He has the durability besides the injury, which that's just unfortunate. I still think his body frame can help him survive a lot of the hits. And if his route running gets up there, it's just going to be hard to stop. It's hard to stop that guy. Like, imagine Tyreek Hill's route running is, I'm not going to say filthy. It's good, but when you watch his film, it's just him using his speed a lot, so he doesn't, and it's not a bad thing, but that's just basically what he does. But if Waddle can have, like, Tyreek Hill speed, which most will agree that he does, he's one of the faster guys. If he can get that route running that guys like Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, Cooper Kupp, if he can get that, Waddle will be, like, his potential is off the charts. With Waddle, his floor, you can say, I would say, is Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel, in a way, he was drafted by Dave Gettleman, but Curtis Samuel, he's a faster guy. He's like shorter, 5'11", 5'10" type of guy, but he's not like he's like stuck in the slot, and they use him as a running back, wide receiver type of guy to the backfield with the loss of CMC. But I think that is what Waddle has a chance at being. Like, that's the worst he can be, in my opinion. It's just a Curtis Samuel. The best he can be is Tyreek Hill, and that's a pretty good range of a potential for a wide receiver. If I do say so myself, he's game changing, and that's what you look at for a guy with the 11th pick, and that's what you look like. That's what you look for in a receiver. That's what Daniel Jones lacked year 2 and year 1, is he didn't have that dominant breakaway type of receiver. Now we're gonna move on to scenario 2. This one, I don't know how I would actually like this one would only occur if like Waddle was taken off the all three of the receivers were off the board. Then I'd be okay with this one at 11. I say we draft Pitts. Now I did my first video was the film review on these two guys, so I'm very high on these two guys. I think they would be game changing for anybody who drafts them. Pitts catches literally everything. He's one of the highest. I think he's top 5 highest rated people in the draft this year via PFF. He's like 6'5", 6'6", and he's built. He's a stronger guy. Him and Evan Ingram. We were disappointed with Evan Ingram this year, but I still think he has potential. I'm not one of the guys who are just like, okay, yeah, you suck, get off the team. Still think he could bring something. I just don't think he was able to handle the load that was put on him with the loss of Saquon. But him, Evan Ingram, and Kyle Pitts are two mismatches. They're matchup nightmares for anybody who line up against them. Now imagine that's 2 of them. Kyle Pitts is just a guy. He's gonna catch it. The difference, like I said in the first video, the difference between him and Evan Ingram is Evan Ingram, once he catches it, he can take it the full distance. He did it against Tampa in Daniel Jones' first game. He caught it and took it at least 60, 70 yards. Kyle Pitts doesn't have that. But what Kyle Pitts does is he'll catch the ball every time, no matter who's on him. He'll catch it. And he'll give you a couple yak yards after that. That's those two. And especially if you compare that up with a wide receiver in free agency, what we will most likely do, and I, like I've said many times, I want Galladay. If you bring the 50-50 type of guy, and then you have Pitts, Evan Ingram, and Darius Slayton and Sterling Shepard, this offense, although I think Jason Garrett will hold that back, but this offense could go from 31st to top 15, even almost top 10, depending on if Daniel Jones takes a year 3 leap. Kyle Pitts has even shown that he can block. That's one thing I think is underrated. A part of Evan Ingram's game is that he is a very good blocker. I'm not going to say very good, but he's a solid blocker. There are a lot of runs that wouldn't happen if he wasn't there. A lot of people don't like to give him the respect he deserves in the run game because, yes, sometimes he does whiff and he misses his block completely. But sometimes he does make the important block that needs to be made. And that's all you need when it comes to a guy like him. Yeah, you want a Kittle, a guy who can block and dominate receiving yard and with yak yards, but that's just not the guy he is. Evan Ingram is, people even said coming out of his draft, he was like a bigger receiver. This guy is a receiver who's listed as a tight end, and that's exactly what Kyle Pitts is. Everybody said if this guy's position was strictly a receiver, he would be looked at as a part of that top 3 receiving group, even ahead of some of them, just because his game, in my opinion, resembles Mike Evans so much. Like, he's a generational talent when it comes to the tight end position. You see Mike Evans, he's like 6'6", 6'7", at a wide receiver position. He catches up, like Brady throws him every 50-50 ball. Sometimes he brings it, sometimes he doesn't. But you're happy either way. This is a guy who's a tight end, who's basically Mike Evans. That's just something it'll be hard to pass up on if Waddle's not there. We're going to move on to scenario 3. Now, this one is a little bit unlikely in my opinion because personally, I don't see I think it's Dallas and Denver and Carolina, the 3 spots ahead of them. They all potentially could take corners. But if this guy, Caleb Farley, falls to us and Pitts and Waddle are off the board, Gettleman, you got to take him. It's that simple. You've got to take the guy. He has all the physical traits. Yes, he is a very raw prospect who hasn't played a football game in over a year. He'll come out a little bit rusty. Hopefully there's a preseason this year, which will help him. But you also have to understand, most of the time, he'll be guarding the wide receiver 2s because Bradbury will be on the wide receiver 1s. I do hope PG runs a little bit more man than he did because I think we got stuck in zone based off of who we had last year. But I think the guys we got now can run man a lot better. So hopefully if we got Farley, this guy could learn from Bradbury, who in my opinion and a lot of others was snubbed ridiculously for All-Pro. I think he should have been first team, but I'm okay with second team. But the fact that he just didn't make it at all was blasphemy. Like it's ridiculous in my opinion. But you get a guy like Bradbury who made the Pro Bowl, who can mentor this guy who's a raw prospect, hasn't played a football game in forever. But when I was watching film on this guy, they just didn't target his side. And when they did, like the one or two times, his catch-up speed is ridiculous. He got beat one time, and it wasn't nothing bad. It was the guy's release got off of him, and the guy was had a couple steps on him. While the ball was in the air, it's like he kicked it up a notch, and he caught him and deflected the ball. He did interceptions are he had a couple, but deflections is what he's good for because of his catch up speed. He was able to catch up to the guy and just completely get the ball out of the way. And I was like, it's no way a normal corner is able to get beat the way he did and just completely catch up to the guy. And the receiver was not slow. It was not like a taller receiver who just completely was slow. It was a decent receiver who was decent. He had a bit of speed on him, but still, my point is that his catch up speed is amazing, and that's what a lot of good corners have. Ramsey has it. Jair has it. A lot of them guys have it. That it's so crucial to a corner because no matter the corner you are, like Jalen Ramsey's the best corner in the NFL. He gets beat. He allows plays. Everybody does. My point is, the reason why you don't really hear his name when watching an NFL game is because they don't go to his side. Farley has that potential. Could you imagine, Giants fans, Farley and Bradbury? We already know what Bradbury can do, but if Farley can match that level of skill, and we have those two guys with Jabril, Xavier McKinney, Julian Love, Blake Martinez, like our secondary, for everybody who knows NYPD, we can bring that back. We can relive that and get a new, well brought in young secondary. All those guys are young. Bradbury, I think he's like 28, still young in my opinion. Farley would be young. Xavier McKinney's in his second year. I think this is Julian Love's third year. Pepper's like fourth. Like all our entire defense is young. We've re-signed Leonard Williams. I think he's like 27. Dalvin Tomlinson's like 26, even if we don't re-sign him. Tate Crowder, he was the last pick in the draft. He played wonderful. He had some whiffs, but for the last pick in the draft, he definitely played amazing. But that's beside the point. We're gonna move on to the fourth scenario, and I'm not gonna lie. If Waddle and Pitts, I'd go as far as to say no. If Waddle and Pitts aren't on the board when we get to the 11th pick is our pick, I believe Gettleman trades back. You trade back because I think trading back would be with exactly what this team needs. We need the draft capital. We need anything. We need any help we can get, really. And I looked at it, and the two teams behind us that, well, I'm gonna say the one team. The one team I think that has the most potential trading up to where we are, because I think it works out for us because San Francisco's right behind us. If on draft night they do not have a quarterback, and Trey Lance falls to the Giants pick, Chicago needs a quarterback. Chicago has the 20th pick, which isn't too far of a trade back, and which isn't too bad for a second round pick. If Chicago called us and was like, oh, and none Waddle or Pitts weren't on the board, and San Francisco's next, and they know, okay, San Francisco needs a quarterback. Even if they keep Jimmy G, Trey Lance can learn from Jimmy G because he's still a raw guy, really raw prospect, who can move around the field, who will fit really well in that offense. If he was to fall to the 11th pick, I think Gettleman, if they're not there, you pick up the phone, you call Chicago. Hey, you give me your first round, your 20th, and your second round pick, and maybe like a fifth, because I know we don't have a fifth. I think it's like a fifth this year, fifth or sixth. You give us your first or your second and like some future pick down the line, even if it's like a sixth, and we'll give you our 7th rounder or 6th rounder and this pick. You can't, like, they need a quarterback, they would take that 100%. You trade back, so then we have the 20. Let's look at it. We got the 20th pick right behind the football team. We have the 20th pick. Okay. There's my first. I have 1A. Really, with this pick, it's 1A, 1B in my opinion. 1A is Rashawn Slater. Personally, I don't know. He may fall, but he probably nine times out of 10 he won't. But if this guy falls, you do not. If he is at the 20th pick, Gettleman, you 100% take him. You take him. This guy has been said to almost be better than Penny Sewell, who people have looked at as a generational pass blocker. If you have Andrew Thomas, who you drafted 4th, and then you put, although Rashawn Slater's like, I think it's like 6'3", he's a smaller guy, he still has shown when he played Chase Young, he shut him down. So he can block the edge rushers. You put him at right tackle or put him at left tackle, put Andrew Thomas at right. That's what they can do, either one of those. Matt Peart's still 6'7". You still got him to swap in. That would be very helpful to Daniel Jones' game and to his production on how he can make a leap year 3, because his O-line was very inconsistent year 2. Now, 1B, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to go as far as to say he's my favorite, but this guy, like, his pro comparison is Devontae Adams. Rashad Bateman. Everybody go watch film. I watched film on this guy. His route running, crisp. His ability to catch the ball, crisp. Taller guy. I think he's like 6'2", 6'3". So he's a taller guy. Speed, can run a route, has a wide route tree, and at that point, there's nobody you could really take at 11, but if Bateman fell to 20, this guy literally can, in my opinion, do it all. I said Devontae Adams, but another pro comparison I stick to is Kenny Golladay. Like, those guys are just extremely similar. I think his ceiling is Devontae Adams, Kenny Golladay, but his floor would be a guy like, I'd say Brandon Marshall toward the end of his career when he wasn't in his prime anymore. But Rashad Bateman is a quality guy. He's extremely well-rounded when it comes to his ability and his game. I personally, he's my 4th. Like, on my board, he's for the wide receiver 4. But I still think he has the potential to be better than all 3 if they just don't pan out in the NFL. I think he really will, because his game is elite all around. Good routes, good catching ability. Now, his high contested catches that are harder to make when it comes to over the head catches and things like that. Those are passes that are harder to catch. He has struggled with those. I'm not gonna say struggle, because he has made some really good catches, but I also believe that he needs to work on that. Like, to get to that Devontae Adams, Kenny Golladay level, he has to work on that. Now, we're gonna talk about my 5th option. Now, this is 5. Like, honestly, this is 5 because I really don't want us to do it unless we only do this if we don't re-sign Leonard Williams. If we decide not to re-sign Leonard Williams, I still don't believe in picking this guy. But you go Kwity Paye. Now, I don't like Kwity Paye personally, because watching his film, he's not dominant as an edge, and that's what the Giants need extremely, is an edge rusher badly, and he's not that. But he is a good run stopper, which what Leonard Williams was, or what he is, but he also adds sacks. He had 11.5 this year. I just don't believe Kwity Paye has that. So I'm not really high on that guy. He's not even my top 3. He might be 3, but I still have Osei and Julian Phillips over him when it comes to edge rushers. And I think there's guys you can get in the 2nd round, 3rd rounder who will produce better than he will. This has been my draft scenarios. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Giants fans, we got a long road ahead of us before we get back to the Super Bowl, but hopefully we're on the right track. Peace.